Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
My name is Mark Owens. John, summertime is just about upon us here, and we know that you live and love to support everything New Orleans. But when you get out of town, when you need to shut it down, a little R&R, where does John Scallan go for a little family vacation?
Well, I'd like to tell you that I'll be jet setting to Monte Carlo in my single engine plane, but that would be a stretch.
Not there yet, huh?
No, I don't think I'll ever get there. But Mark, we love, man, listen, 3.5 hours door to door gets us to Orange Beach, Alabama, little slice of heaven, a little bit further, another hour or so, you're in Destin. I mean, look, I've got a 2-year-old, I've got a 2-month-old grandchildren, by the way, got a 17-year-old grandchild. So, you know, at this point in my life, loading up the car, rolling down the highway, stopping at Buc-ee's 3 times, you know, between on the way to Orange Beach. That's pretty much what we do. It's really just a great amenity to have so close to home.
Yep, and you just hit the nail on the head, all about the family and the grandkids and the kids and everything. At the end of the day, John Scallan, that's what it's all about. It's all about having that income in retirement so you can have these experiences, these moments. And John, there's a new survey from Allianz that caught my attention. More than half of Americans say they don't really understand how their Social Security works, and a lot of adults will be relying on that Social Security once they retire. And less than 40% have any plan for when they will claim their Social Security benefits. Those numbers surprised me. 40%. What do you take from that?
Mark, what I take from that is it tells me people are making one of the most important financial decisions of their lives without really understanding all of their options. And Mark, unlike most financial decisions, this is one that you can't take back. The day you file is the day you lock it in forever. Now, Mark, let's think about a situation we see pretty often. Let's imagine a 62-year-old female just retired, about to claim Social Security. She figures she's done with working, so she'll just go ahead and pull it right now.
All right, that sounds like how a lot of adults feel. You know, I'm done working. I'll just take the check. That's what I would do.
Mark, most people actually think exactly that way because most people don't realize those are actually 2 separate decisions, retiring and claiming Social Security. Listen, they don't have to happen at the same time. You can stop working, live off savings or other income, and let that Social Security benefit just keep growing. A lot of people have never been told that that's even an option.
So if we do want to wait, what does that actually get you?
Mark, if she has the flexibility to wait until 67, which is her full retirement age, often referred to as FRA, Mark, she'll go from $1,800 a month to $2,600 a month. I mean, let's do the math. That's $9,600 per year every single year. Now, Mark, truthfully, can everyone wait? The answer is no. Some people, they need that income right away, and that's completely valid. I mean, there may be a health issue. They may actually need the money, but besides those issues, the point is simple. Most people never even consider it as an option. They just assume that these 2 events happen to go together.
Yeah, but John, I've heard people say the break even on waiting is like 12 years out. What if somebody doesn't want to make it that long? Are they just gambling on how long they may live?
Look, truthfully, that's a fair question. And if you're single, the math on this is worth running very carefully. But the break-even calculation completely changes when you're married, because it's not just about how long you live, it's about how long your spouse lives. The survivor is going to live on whatever Social Security decision that you've made together. If the higher earner claimed early and locked in that lower benefit, the surviving spouse carries that decision for the rest of their life. And think about it. This could easily be 20, 25, even 30 years where that decision is locked in.
That's a great way of putting it, John. So it's like the two decisions being connected in that aspect like that.
Most people don't think about that, and there's no single right answer for every couple. Mark, for those who have the flexibility to wait, we generally want the higher earner to delay as long as possible, because that protects the survivor down the road. For couples who need income sooner, sometimes we find that that's the best path forward given what they have. But either way, you should know beyond a shadow of a doubt what your options are before you file.
All right, having a good conversation this weekend on the Retirement Roundtable about your Social Security. When to take benefits, maybe you should hold off. Maybe you should draw them a little bit earlier. Let me give that number, 504-732-1001, to have a long-form conversation with John Scallan. But I want to flip the script a little bit. What about the people who just don't think that Social Security will be there once they retire? That's a real concern for a lot of people, especially people my age in their late 40s, early 50s.
You know, Mark, I want to answer that as authentically and honestly as I can, but let's remember this. Social Security has not missed a single payment since 1940. Mark, could there be adjustments someday? Absolutely. But the mistake I keep seeing is people claiming early out of fear, and what they're doing is locking in a guaranteed 30% cut for the rest of their lives. And they're doing this to avoid a possible future reduction that may never happen. You're guaranteeing yourself the worst outcome, trying to protect against one that isn't certain.
You said something there. You said you're locking in a guaranteed 30% yes, potential cut. Oh, well, I don't like that at all. So it's almost like we're letting the fear make decisions for us. And that could be damaging to an overall plan, John.
Absolutely. Listen, get the facts. Call us before you file. We have a complimentary Social Security optimizer software platform that will give you 5, 10, 15 different filing strategies. That's the most important thing I can say today. Once you claim, you cannot undo it. 504-732-1001. Listen, bring your spouse. We will run the numbers. We will look at both benefits. We will coordinate the timing, and we will make sure you are not leaving money on the table permanently.
And John, we've said it before, and I just want you to remind people that if we set up that account, which you recommend we do at ssa.gov, or we make the phone call to the Social Security Administration, they can point you in specific directions, but they can't tell you the best opportunities for you. They cannot provide any kind of insightful information or advice about your Social Security benefits, John.
Mark, they are federal government employees.
Yeah.
They are not financial planners. There's a lot of things that they can't tell you in terms of, let's talk about, a huge part. When they show you numbers, they're showing you your benefit today. But keep in mind, they can't talk about COLA, cost of living adjustment. Listen, since 1975, the average increase that our clients or the citizens of this great nation have gotten is 3.1%. These benefits continue to roll up to keep pace with inflation. So that's really the difference. You need someone who has expertise in finance. You need someone that can run multiple scenarios so that you have the facts, the best information to make the best decision for you and your family.
The media world, and, I'm a big Braves fan. Braves country still talking about the recent passing of the great Ted Turner, one of the most influential figures for the Atlanta Braves when they had their amazing run in the 90s. Recently passed away at the age of 87. But, John, there's a part of history and of his story that really stuck with me. And that was after the Time Warner merger. He was effectively pushed out. He got fired.
I got phased out. The management at Time Warner called me in and said, your contract's going to be up, and we want to give you another one. I said, well, tell me. I said, well, we'll give you $1 million a year. And I said, well, what will my duties be? And they said, nothing. Really? At least they were honest. So I said, you can take the $1 million and shove it you know where.
Ted Turner talking about how they offered him $1 million, but nope, he decided to get fired instead. John, most of us can't do that, right? What happens to somebody who gets the call and they don't have that option?
Mark, that's the situation that we see more than people realize. And you know what I loved about that clip? He said, at least they were honest. I mean, that's actually what people want when they walk in our door also. Just tell me the truth. Tell me where I actually stand financially. Because, Mark, when retirement gets forced upon you, the last thing you need is someone who is, let's call it, sugarcoating the numbers.
Okay, so break it down for me, John Scallan. What does that conversation look like?
Well, first, you have to understand exactly what's happening. I mean, imagine someone 59 years old, spent their whole career in, let's call it, oil and gas. Company restructured, their position gets eliminated, and just like that, he's out. Mm-hmm. He wasn't planning to retire for another 6 years. I mean, his 401k was still growing. He hadn't even thought about Social Security yet. And now all of those decisions are sitting right in front of him all at once.
Imagine when something like this happens, and I'm sure you've seen it, John. This is when we as adults, we start thinking emotionally, and that's when we start making bad moves.
Yeah, the pressure hits and people, understandably, they panic. They claim Social Security early just to replace the income. They cash out the 401k and take a massive tax hit. They make permanent decisions trying to solve what is often a temporary, let's call it, cash flow problem. And those decisions, once made, they follow them for the next 20 or even 30 years.
Okay, so what would be the better option? What should somebody do instead?
Mark, we always like to talk about, let's build a bridge first before you touch anything. We look at what's available. Let's call it severance, unemployment, any brokerage or savings accounts that are sitting outside of your retirement accounts. And from there, we figure out what can carry them through the next 12, 18, or even 24 months without touching the accounts that are still working for them. Every month that they don't touch the IRA, every month Social Security keeps growing. That's money that you are protecting.
And the thing is, John, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but hearing you define that situation, it's like most people probably don't even know what they have to work with in that moment.
And that's exactly why it's the best time to build a plan now, before you need it. Because when you're in the middle of it, that's not the time to be looking at this for the first time. Pick up the phone. Give us a call, 504-732-1001. Remember, initial meetings are always complimentary. Let's sit down and get ahead of what potentially could happen before you plan on retiring.
John Scallan, tell me again, not one, but 2 locations of Cypress Financial so we can meet you at a time and a place that fits our schedule.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Mark. We have an office in the heart of Metairie on North Causeway Boulevard, beautiful facility in Mandeville on Florida Street. And just remember, we always meet clients in a venue, time, or a place that is most convenient for them. Certainly, we would love to have you at our office, but we do Zoom calls, team calls. We meet clients at their home, at their businesses to talk about employee benefits. Again, we want to make it as easy as possible to have that initial conversation. And remember, this first meeting, we're not pitching product. We're not talking solutions. We're talking about you, your life, your hope, your dreams, what retirement looks like for you, and how to start potentially working on a plan that'll make this next chapter of your life the best chapter of all.
John, I came across something this week that got me thinking. Charles Payne over at Fox Business was asking whether the 401k has actually lived up to its promise. As we talk about, 401k going to be one of the big sources of income in retirement. And here's what he said.
I don't know that it's dead. I will say, though, that the 401k hasn't lived up to the hype. And I think that's one of the problems, right? And every year they come out and they'll say we have this many 401k millionaires, right? And it sounds like a huge number. Cool. Then you say, well, how many people have a 401k? And it's like 0.03% of everyone with one. So the promise was that if you just put this money in, it was going to end up being worth a lot of money. And I don't know that it's dead, but I think people have to approach it differently. And I think they're starting to, particularly like the 60-40 portfolio. I think that's a huge mistake. On the 40 side, 40% in bonds, I think is just a massive mistake at this point.
I'm going to focus in on what he talked about there, John, with the 401k millionaires. I hadn't thought about it that way. It sounds impressive, John, until you actually do the math.
And the thing is, Mark, the 401k has been sold as the answer for so long that people stopped questioning whether it was actually working for them. Now, I love Charles Payne, man, a lot of common sense, smart guy, highly educated. He's probably onto something that's pretty real. But I would push back slightly on the 60-40 piece because I don't think the problem is actually the bond portion themselves. The problem is people using bonds as a substitute for a real income plan. Listen, a lot of retirees have 40% in bonds thinking that's their safety net, but bonds don't give you guaranteed income for life. They don't protect against inflation, and in a rising interest rate environment, they can actually lose value.
So what should that, you talked about the 40% in bonds, what should that actually be doing?
Mark, that is the right question. Thank you. And most people have never been asked they haven't been asked the question, if that 40% is supposed to generate income and protect your downside, there are better tools for that job today. How about a fixed annuity, structured income products, high yield, 100% liquid savings account, things that actually guarantee what bonds are only supposed to, let's call it, approximate. Think about what this looks like in practice. Someone retires with $600,000 in a 401k. They feel great. They've saved their whole career, but now they're pulling $3,000 a month from it, and the market drops 25% in, let's say, year 2 of retirement. Suddenly, that account is worth $350,000, and they're still pulling $3,000 a month. Mark, we call this the sequence of returns risk, and this risk can unravel a plan very quickly. Mark, the 40% in bonds, it didn't stop it.
I barely graduated high school because of math, and I'm not a math guy, but I can tell you that's a scary picture. 600,000 becoming 350,000 that quick.
Mark, people have short memories when it comes to the market. Today, we've been in one of the greatest, if not the greatest bull market in history. But again, I've lived through Black Monday 1987, the dot-com bust, when the Twin Towers came down, the Great Recession, the pandemic. These huge drops in the market, they absolutely happen. Okay? More than people realize, the 401k is still a powerful tool, especially if there's an employer match. That's still free money. But the conversation has to shift from just saving it to what does it actually do for you when you stop working? Does some of it convert to Roth to reduce future taxes? Mark, does some of it move into guaranteed income so they are not entirely dependent on the stock market? The goal is a retirement that doesn't live and die by what the market does on any given day. And the only way to know if yours is actually built that way is to sit down with a qualified financial advisor and look at what you have and what it's doing for your retirement.
Okay, well, let's break that down a little bit, John. Paint the picture for me. What does that look like? Because there's people out there that think that I'm going to be sitting in office, I'm going to be talking to you, I'm probably going to be sold something.
Yeah, I get that, Mark. And honestly, there's been a lot of people's experience with financial advisors. So let me just tell you exactly what happens. Again, you come in, we sit down, we look at your entire full picture, your income, your Social Security, your savings, your expenses, and then and only then do we tell you where you stand, what's in good shape, what's not, and what we'd be concerned about if we were sitting on your side of the table. Mark, that's the value, and we give it to you up front before we talk about products, before there's any conversations about what are the best products for your situation. It's a relaxed, communicative, comfortable conversation. And Mark, if we think something should change, if we see a gap or a risk or an opportunity you're missing, that's a conversation we have with you in subsequent meetings. And what you do with that information is completely up to you. Nobody's going to pressure you. You came in to find out where you stand, and that's exactly what you'll walk out knowing. 504-732-1001. Initial meetings are always complimentary, and we're going to lay it out for you in black and white. We'd love to meet you. Meeting our clients, meeting new clients, we consider it an honor and a privilege to be able to do that.
John, I'm going to throw at you probably the hardest question that you're going to get asked this weekend, but I need some transparency. I need you to be honest with me as well, John. How's the coffee at Cypress Financial?
Well, I can tell you it's free. And I work with some real coffee snobs. They want their beans ground fresh with every cup. So I can tell you we're going to do our best to wow you with, at the very least, with a fresh made cup of Joe.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Cypress Financial Group. Cypress Financial Group is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Cypress Financial Group are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any reference to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Cypress Financial Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Cypress Financial Group. This radio show is a paid placement.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Please note it is not possible to invest directly into the S&P 500 index. This measure is provided solely as a gauge of overall market performance. Standard & Poor's, S&P, and S&P 500 are registered trademarks of Standard & Poor's Financial Services, LLC, S&P. The historical performance of the S&P 500 is not intended as an indication of its future performance and is not guaranteed.